In 2026, the rapidly shifting logistics landscape and rising fulfillment costs are completely crushing e-commerce margins for sellers across the board. Look at the left side of this diagram. Amazon's FBA inbound placement and storage fees are climbing sharply year over year. Now look at the right side. The cash flow cycle is stretching out. Every sale locks up capital for a longer period of time. To relieve this pressure, Amazon is heavily promoting its own upstream solution, Amazon Warehousing and Distribution, or AWD. The pitch is straightforward. You store your bulk inventory upstream with Amazon at a lower rate, and they waive the heaviest FBA inbound placement and low inventory penalties. Choosing between AWD and an independent third-party logistics provider, or 3PL, comes down to a strict mathematical calculation. You are weighing capital efficiency against supply chain control. The math plays out differently depending on who you are. We're looking at three main profiles: pure Amazon volume scalers, multi-channel brands, and retailers moving slow-turning or bulky items. Lock into the wrong logistics model this year, and you will either strand your cash in Amazon's ecosystem or bleed your margins through unnecessary 3PL overhead. This flowchart shows AWD's mechanical benefit. Depositing bulk inventory into an AWD node triggers auto-replenishment to FBA, waiving placement and low inventory penalties. But there's a trade-off. Once in AWD, you lose control over movement. Network bottlenecks can cause 40-day transfer delays. During Q4, those delays compound quickly. If your transfer stalls, your listings get suppressed, your IPI score drops, and you have no ability to intervene or expedite the freight. This bar chart compares storage rates. AWD's base storage rates hover between 48 cents and 57 cents per cubic foot, significantly lower than the standard FBA storage rate next to it. You save on rent, but your capital is now physically locked inside Amazon. If you suddenly experience a demand spike on your Shopify store or Walmart channel, you cannot easily redirect those units to fulfill those orders. Amazon also made a major policy shift early this year. AWD facilities no longer provide any FBA prep services. If your factory makes a mistake on polybagging or labeling, the penalties are severe. Inbound non-compliance fees now range from 32 cents up to $5.72 per unit. To survive this rule change, you have to bake strict prep requirements into your upstream factory or freight forwarding contracts before your goods ever touch a U.S. port. Regional pricing is also fracturing. As this map shows, AWD storage rates on the West Coast recently jumped 19% to 57 cents per cubic foot, while transportation fees out of those facilities rose 22%. AWD subsidizes your baseline fulfillment costs, but the exchange is clear. You are locking your cash flow exclusively into Amazon's network and accepting their operational timelines. An independent 3PL operates on the opposite premise. You pay higher upfront pick and pack and management fees, but you retain total control over your inventory routing and timing. This flowchart illustrates the multi-channel multiplier. You hold a single, centralized pool of stock in the 3PL warehouse, and from there you feed Amazon, Shopify, and Walmart simultaneously, without stranding capital across disconnected facilities. This graph tracks storage costs over 12 months. The 3PL pallet line remains flat year-round, while FBA storage costs spike violently during Q4 with a 208% multiplier. At 181 days, FBA costs racket exponentially from aged inventory fees, while the 3PL line ignores it entirely. This margin protection requires holding deep inventory buffers. Mathematically, it is highly effective if you carry slow-moving retail items or oversized bulky goods, but that control requires operational heavy lifting. You have to actively manage the 3PL relationship, negotiate your own carrier rates, and monitor compliance. You also need sophisticated inventory management software to sync your data across warehouses and sales channels, or you risk overselling. Strict oversight is mandatory at the 3PL level. Every single unit must be fully FBA ready, correctly labeled, and polybagged before it leaves the dock. When you execute that replenishment cycle with discipline, you dictate the timing of your inbound freight. That leads to faster inventory turns and significantly less idle capital. An independent 3PL acts as a margin protector. It demands higher operational overhead, but it successfully shields you from Amazon's network bottlenecks and punitive algorithms. To map your optimal strategy, look at this quadrant chart. The y-axis represents your sales channels, from pure Amazon to omnichannel. The x-axis tracks SKU velocity, from slow and bulky to fast and standard. Let's start with the pure Amazon volume scaler. If you sell high-velocity, standard-sized SKUs exclusively on Amazon, you land in this AWD optimal zone. For these sellers, the waived inbound placement fees and lower base storage mathematically outweigh the risk of losing fulfillment control. Now look at the multi-channel brand or bulky retailer. If you have variable demand or oversized SKUs, you land in the 3PL optimal territory. Here, the 3PL control premium directly pays for itself. You prevent capital from getting stranded in Amazon and dodge the crushing Q4 storage multipliers entirely. In the center is the hybrid middle ground. Mid-market and enterprise operators blend both models to maximize their margins.
They route their core, high-turn Amazon SKUs through AWD, while utilizing a 3PL to buffer their long-tail items and fulfill secondary channels. But there is a harsh reality to the hybrid approach. It is only mathematically viable if your total volume is large enough to justify the massive administrative overhead of running two separate logistics systems simultaneously. AWD is a cost tool designed for subsidy. A 3PL is a control tool for flexibility. If you need control, you must pay for it. That is the fundamental trade-off of e-commerce logistics in 2026. Make sure you subscribe and watch our upcoming guide on advanced e-commerce cash flow management to keep your supply chain profitable.